That's going to be a great thing for the Harvest School area.
All right, for the first time live right up the road from me, but Stan McDonald. Good morning, Stan.
Good morning, Jamie.
Good to
How
see
you doing,
you.
Gloria?
Yeah,
y'all.
I know you are greatly involved in Republican politics.
That would be true.
That's
When
true.
you work with Mitt Romney?
I've been very involved with it since Ronald Reagan in 1980, to be perfectly
You was
honest
just a
with you.
kid then.
Well, I was. But you know, I grew up in it. My father was Albert McDonald, was a senator here in the 70s, early 80s, represented Limestone County. And, of course, everybody was Democrats back then.
Yeah.
But when this guy named Ronald Reagan came along, he said some things that kind of turned things around for a lot of us.
All right, you're up here today to talk about one of the gubernatorial candidates, Tim James, who went to Auburn with you.
Right, we were friends at Auburn, sure were.
Now, Stan goes way back to Auburn. He's married to Pat Dye's daughter, so Pat Dye is your father-in-law.
That would be correct.
Yeah, and we had a great time with him last time we were at Bill Matthews' house.
That's right.
We
Yeah,
had that.
he was up
He
there.
was the speaker here. But Tim James, you're up here to talk why we need to vote for him. And to me, I think he's the best one out of the bunch because he's more like we are.
Right.
You tell us why we should vote for Tim James.
Well, Tim James, when I go to vote in the Republican primary, I'm looking for the most conservative candidate who can win, frankly. And Tim James is a true blue conservative. I've been around this stuff for 30 years, I guess, in the Republican vineyards, and I look at it, I analyze it in a lot of different ways, and I think Tim James is the most conservative candidate. We're electing a governor. That means that he would head the executive branch, and the fact, and he puts it in his commercials a lot, but the fact that he's a businessman, and that's truly what he's been doing for the past 30 years, is building businesses and whatnot. I think the fact that he's a businessman, he's not one his commercials draw the contrast to how there's a political correctness in Montgomery that I think people are frustrated with. He's not politically correct. He's common sense. He's straight talking. He gets his basic principles on what he thinks is going to lead to success in the business world.
Well, you know, they've come out with some ugly ads against him at the bridge and all that. I was telling Stan this yesterday. Back when his dad, Fob, got elected, Channel 31, I think it was 78, 79 inauguration, flies me down to Montgomery to cover that inauguration. So that's probably my only thing in the news. All right, let's talk about his English-only ad, which he's taken gotten a lot of favorable publicity and taking a lot of heat over something from people outside the great state of Alabama.
That is a perfect example of and there's about five issues that Tim has come out with. That one hit the strongest nerve, but it's a good example of how he contrasts that there's conventional ways of thinking in Montgomery right now amongst politicians, and then there's more common sense ideas. And the whole idea of offering 12 different languages for a driver's license, Tim just thought that was a little bit unusual, a little odd.
It is unusual.
And he just said, let's be more common sense about it. If you're going to do business, well, actually, drive license. But what he means is, if they're going to work here in Alabama, you know, they need to. It's reasonable to believe they should be able to speak language. If you're going to drive down the road and discern whether you're supposed to stop or yield or keep going or turn left or right, it's reasonable to believe you should be able to read those signs.
Well, that makes sense, though.
It does make sense.
All right, let me ask you about. Yeah, does it to you? Let's ask about a very serious question on my mind. Being an Alabama diehard fan, did he say he was going to fire Coach Saban or cut his salary back?
Well,
You've been asked this a bunch.
If he did say it, then it was obviously the height of absurdity. And as the story goes, I think he was joking around with some students at Alabama. And the greater context of the conversation was how good Nick Saban is doing.
Right.
And I've talked to Tim about it. And let me just say to any Alabama fans out there, y'all don't pay him enough for all that he brings to the state of Alabama in tax revenue, for goodness sakes, and all the interest and enthusiasm. He's not paid enough. And Tim understands that. He's a businessman. Makes sense to me. They ought to pay him even more, you know.
Does it to you?
Right. But, you know, that if it had humor to it, which he was trying to be humorous, it was obviously the height of absurdity, and sometimes that's what you use in humor.
Yeah, well, I hear it's been all over Feinbaum, but I don't listen. But anyway, that's I figured it was just a joke gone bad. But let's talk about, you know, I just did this story. Poll finds in USA Today this morning, anger over country leaders. And I know you're a big-time Republican like I am. What is happening to the politicians in Washington?
Well, you know, there's a great mood for anti-incumbency right now in this country. And I think a lot of things go cyclical, Jamie, you know, in all areas of life. Many people would agree. I think really it has to do with the economy. Now, I like to be optimistic about the economy. We're all out there striving and working every day to innovate. Businesses are and so forth, and maybe things are going to get a little bit better. But I don't know. I hold the view that we're doing the wrong things in this country. And because of, I think, the low economy, people are taking out on their leadership. And I think the people who think about it are seeing that we're doing all the wrong things right now, or at least the party in charge is. So there's a double whammy. People are hurting. I like what Carville said the other day, candidly, and I'm not a Carville fan.
Yeah, me either.
But he said, we're dying down here. And
you do a good impression.
We're dying down here. And I think that there's a lot of folks that feel like, hey, Washington, we're dying down here. And here you guys are spending, if you think the oil's coming fast out of the ground, what about all the deficit? It's coming out of the ground faster than that oil is flowing out of the ground, money that we don't have. And so people are saying, if you guys can't get it straight, we'll clean out every single one of you. Now, I happen to hold the view there's some pretty good ones up there that aren't being given a chance right now, so I don't think we need to clean them all out. But there is a mood to clean them all out.
Why aren't you running for something?
I have run before in the past. I ran when I was younger. Because I've been involved so much, I understand what's involved with it. We have 7 children. My wife Missy and I have 7 children. We have a business. And I've also found that being a guy behind the scenes, sometimes you can be even more influential than being the guy who has to do it.
Is Mitt Romney going to run for president again?
I think he probably will. I like Mitt Romney. He's a businessman too,
Yeah. So any other thing before I go to break here, what you want to say about your friend down in Auburn?
And that's
graduate?
nice that you've known him for a long
Tim
time.
James.
Yeah, Tim James, he has been attacked in the past couple of weeks. He got way up in the polls, and so they all of a sudden come up with these theories about all the bad things about him. And so just be careful of an accusation that's about 2 weeks before the election when a guy shoots up in the polls.
All right. Stan, thanks for getting up early and coming up here with us. Good luck with the campaign. We'll get out and vote Tuesday now. Vote Tuesday. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to vote for Tim James. I like him anyway. Even though he is Auburn graduate, I'm still going to vote for him. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, speaking of voting, Mayor Dan Williams asked you to vote for him, too, coming up on June 1st. We'll take a break and be right back. Y'all hang on.